Lowered back down 20 feet in this lot.
Wait.
The road that comes in here today has been paved over, but that was the towpath for the mules. The towpath was always only on one side, the north side. The other side was called the berm, and in a play on words, quite often back then it was referred to as the heel path. Towpath, heel path. Tow, of course, is not T-O-E. Looks like you're getting ready for a big one coming through, Jeff. You know where she is?
It's not the 17 yet.
She's westbound?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see her on the next trip, I guess.
Probably. I'm guessing it'll be here about 2:30.
Okay. The largest cruise ship that operates here is coming through today. It makes 14-day, one-way trips from Rhode Island to Chicago. And we have two of those, Grand Mariner and the Grand Carib. And they make about 14 trips a year through the canal. Every boat in the lock has to be tied up, so that will be the first thing we'll be doing. First thing you're going to hear will be the gates closing behind us. Why you have these lines up, or if that ship is so big, you'll cut those lines off. That ship will be coming through sometime this afternoon, destination 2:30. Okay. In each wall there's a tunnel. It runs from the lower gate behind us, either the upper gate behind us to the lower gate in front of us. On this lot, the tunnel is 6 feet tall and 8 feet wide. Every 30 feet in the wall of the lock, all the way down at the bottom, are 3-foot openings called ports that lead back to the tunnel. There's one of those every 30 feet. That's how the water comes and goes. Now what's holding the water in the lock right now are valves. Jeff's walking up to a valve pit. Remember now, this is 1905 technology you're looking at here. The valves are 10 feet by 10 feet. They weigh about 15,000 pounds. They're actually railroad flat cars from Philadelphia. And they run vertically on railroad track. They're raised and lowered by 5-horsepower motors. The white light means the valves are down, so they're closed, they're blocking the tunnel. That's what's holding the water in the lock. As he raises the valves, the lights went off, and now the lights that take over are going to be the 3-section light tree on the top of each motor box. When the lower light lights, that means the valves are open 1/3, second section 2/3, and then finally, what they call 3/3 here are fully open, and all 3 sections are lit. We are going to dump out about 2.5 million gallons of water into the river in front of us. We're going to do that at a rate of about 350,000 gallons a minute, and we're going to do this 20 feet in approximately 7.5 minutes. And we're already down almost 3 feet, and sinking fast is a bad phrase on a boat. We'll change that to descending quickly. Valves are 2/3 open. Historically incorrect things. One of these lines are that were hanging down, but no longer are. They're coiled up on top here with blue and white floats. When we had cargo, they didn't exist. What would have been here instead would have been 6 lock operators. There would have been 3 on the wall. And when the tugs and barges and the oil ships came in, the lock operators would help the deckhands with their lines. Now their lines were about the thickness of your wrist, very heavy lines with a loop spliced in the end of them. And they had to send what's called spring lines, one forward, one aft, to keep the whole tug in tow from moving and preventing it from hitting the gate on either end and doing damage. So they would help them with the lines, and the minute coming into view in the lock will be square resexed boxes. You're just beginning to see the top of them now. And there's will be a vertical pin at the bottom. That's where they would have put the loop of the lines. when they had the barges and the boats come through. And you'll see those are at staggered levels. You'll see another layer of those with another 5 or 6 feet. So that's one thing that's historically incorrect. So what happens around 1980, they realize there isn't going to be any cargo anymore. The canal has become obsolete. I'll back down for you for a second.
So the upper deck is
Oh, fingernail polish there? Oh, there it is. We're hiding it.
So Timmy, Coast Guard doesn't do a lot of
So what they do is they decide they're going to keep the canal open, make it into a recreational waterway. They've done a great job of that, actually. And the way they afford to do that is they go from a workforce of about 1,500 people down to today's level, which is 350. So nowadays we only have one lock operator on duty at a time, and that means he doesn't have time to help boaters get lines. So in 1983, they began hanging those lines down for boaters to grab onto. The only time those lines are up is when a cargo shipment comes through, a work barge comes through, or one of those large cruise ships I described comes through. Because they pretty much take up the whole width of the lock, and they would just cut them off. The other thing that's historically incorrect, the walls range in age from 102 to 111, but not the top 13 inches. The top 13 inches get resurfaced whenever the surface deteriorates. Years ago, in the 50s and the 60s, they used to line them with steel. And we have a lot of locks that have that sad thing done to them, and now they've rusted through and they become very dirty, filthy locks. Lock 17 is a little bald as an example of that. But nowadays they reline with concrete. This concrete's about 22 years old. Other than that, you're looking at all original equipment. The gate in front of us is 40 feet tall. It weighs 40 tons on the side. Still open by only a 7.5 horsepower motor. Notice how it's shaped like a shallow letter V with the point of the V facing us up towards the pressure side. That's called a minor V lock gate. The originators are locked from the Chinese around 50 BC, but what they did is they put their gates in a straight line across from each other. Consequently, when the water depth got to be about 7, 8, maybe 9 feet at the most, the water pressure would force the gates open and they would fail. It took almost 1,400 years before a guy came along to invent the minor V lock gate that you see in front of you today. His name, Leonardo da Vinci. He's generally credited with being the father of the modern day lock gate. Oh, there's trouble. I knew you'd show up sooner or later when the action was.
Did you know that's coming? No.
And I say modern day because 98% of all new construction in the world has that style lock gate. They may be opened by different types of motors, they may have different gaskets, but the concept is the same. Build them bigger than the opening. Did you write your phone number on the wall? Did you write your phone number on the wall?
And we're still...
Oh, good. Get that for me, Marissa. You build them bigger than the opening, you face them upstream, and the more water you put against them, the stronger they become, and they're very difficult to fail other than cracking the wall. Lock operator can't open the gates until the gates come apart by themselves, which they're doing right now. Take a look. You see that daylight spreading. Water pressure has to be the same on both sides or you burn out the motor. Anytime now, he should be ready to begin opening it, and there he goes. Straight back, Marissa. As we come out of the lock, look over on the left side of the concrete past the gate, only on the left. And for the folks up front that'll come into view first, there's a sunken gauge painted white with numbers on it, a vertical gauge. You put the number 3 in front of those numbers, that'll tell you where we are in relationship to sea level. So right now, We're about 363 and a half feet above sea level. And what that means is that we're going down to the Hudson River. That's how many feet we still have to be lowered down. We're going the other way up to Buffalo. We're heading west. We have to be raised about 205 feet. Ironically, it's 17 locks in both directions. We're right in the middle of the lock system, not in mileage, but in the number of locks. Now we're back in the river where we originally started. Looks a little bit different, it's wider, more natural, because it is natural. And instead of day markers on posts, we now have floating buoys. The reason for that is this water cannot be lowered down. This is a natural river. In fact, in the winter, they'll take the dams completely out of the water and raise them up. They swing up like a hinge. That's why they're called movable dams. And this will return to its natural flow. Right now, at this time of year, this is what's called a canalized river. The idea of a canal is to get rid of the current. But the way they do that is to level off the water. And the way they level off the water, the river is and they haven't drawn the line for that yet, for only one reason. They can't. They have nothing to draw it on. The water was 6 feet over the wall. Every lock has a night watchman, even though the canal isn't open. They close at 6 these days. But what they do is they take water readings. Usually one guy will take care of 2 or 3 locks. The guy here last year was Bill Miller. Nice guy. And they call these water readings into the hydrology department in Albany, and from that they make decisions on whether to raise or lower the dams. So Bill was doing lock 17 in Little Falls. Takes about 12 minutes to drive here. In that time that he drove here, he came into the road here, hit with a wall of water, ripped him out of the car, turned his car over, he ripped off his pants, took off his boots. And he was lucky enough to be able to swim and climb that tree to the left of the lock house there to save his life. He was in that tree almost 8 hours before they came here to rescue him with a big piece of heavy equipment. Still no longer wants to be the night watchman. He's now the day guy over at Lock 22.
How fast is it going higher?
It's not going higher, yeah. Let's get in, and then we're going to close that door behind it.
About to open.
What did he say?
I didn't talk to him.
Okay, gates closing behind us. Interestingly enough, when you hear the motor stop back there, look at the gate behind us. And you'll see it'll still be open 4 or 5 inches. They do that deliberately. They don't want to risk 100-year-old equipment, so they set limit switches to shut the gate off, shut the motors off before the gate's actually shut. And they'll use water pressure to close the gate. Now, gravity's going to work for us again, no pumps. The water on the other side of the gate in front of us is 20 feet higher than the water in here. So when Jeff comes down to the other end, he raises those valves up. Water's going to come back into the pump and go into those ports sequentially. Now, the first one comes out
See the light on
up
the
near
house?
the front ladder.
Yeah.
Usually you'll make
I
a
was
good
wondering
photo,
what that
jet
was for because it never switches to
Water's
green.
going to shoot out of both walls, 14 feet down, glide in the center, come up somewhere near the center of the lock, create a dome of air and water, and then every 30 feet you're going to see another one marching towards us and behind us. But only the
Wait,
first
so
one
they
usually
open
sucks
those
air.
doors?
Quite often
They're
you'll
just
hear the
opening
gate
the
pop
doors.
shut as well.
Just
Doesn't
gonna
do
come
it
in
every
through
time.
slowly.
Jeff usually gets it to do that. So we're about 15 seconds away from this happening, and Jeff is about to start the process.
Watch the light.
Okay, he's raising the valve. Okay, here comes the water. Watch.
Oh, look it. Look it.
And the gate did not pop. The rest kind of look like mannequin slits or whale slits. We're going to go up in about the same amount of time as we went down. We're the only boat in the lock right now, so he doesn't have to do it easily. He doesn't have to do it slowly. When you have more than 3, 4, or 5 boats in the lock, it'll go easier. That the boats don't dance around and bump into each other. Going down is kind of like sitting in the bathtub and pulling out the plug, but going up is, as you can see, has a little more turbulence.
Look out the side. And look out the side and out the back.
How much fuel do we use on a round trip? On an hour and a half right now. Hot 17 gallons. Well, that's a lot. Good time for questions if anybody has any. Yeah, they use the light system unoperated, so you couldn't have a lockout. Couldn't burn up. If you don't condense the water. Well, if he does, then it's all you do is pour water in. Right. Same thing. I've seen that mistake. Yes. No. So all of a sudden you're not going down. No, nothing. I mean, the inlet is 8 feet diameter, and the outlet is 8 feet diameter. Yeah, right. If you were on the other side right now, you would see a heavy current coming towards the gate. In fact, quite often when they turn around a lot, I try to come up close to the gate to watch what's happening. But when they start really cranking, I have to back out or do something like that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, right. Just I have to back out. It's a fish. They lock through.
Yeah, we go right back to back.
Oh yeah, quite often we wind up with a couple of fish flopping around on one of those sills, and then the water comes up, and the kids are happy because they're safe. Otherwise, they want us to go rescue them. No, not whatsoever. I've locked through with deer, I've locked through with beaver.
I graduated. I was. They do. I work in school district, so I go back to work.
I was in a lock in a
That's how
motorboat.
the old canal is.
It's a little different because we're holding onto the sides.
Very similar to the original.
I wonder if
if the dredge is gonna go through now.
So the question I get often that I didn't hear is what does it cost to use the canal? And if you're a recreational boat, it's broken into 4 size categories, 0 to 16 feet, 16 to 25, 25 to 39, and then 39 to 300. You buy an annual pass, which gives you a right to use all 4 canals as many times as you want for 1 season. That's the most cost-effective way of buying it. The little guys pay $25 a year, and the 300-foot yachts have to pay $100 a year. So
Wow.
not much money at all. Yeah, well, we collected about $3 million in tolls last year, and we spent $80 million maintaining and staffing the Ford Canal. It's an investment in tourism by the state of New York. It's all paid for by the tolls on the cruise. Well, it's really the trucks that are paying. Yeah, but not quite like the trucks.
Excuse me.
Yeah, of course.
I should have taken my allergy pill.
No, there ain't no free lunch. They don't judge the value of the canal based on its toll producing capacity. Actually, this was a free canal for 110 years. 1882 to 1992, there were no tolls at all on it. And then in 92, the Thruway took over, and politically they felt they had to have some kind of tolls, so they put these token tolls on them. And even during that period, since 92, there's been 4 years that they didn't charge anything either, in an effort to get more and more boats to come. The way they judge the value of the canal is based on the economic impact that the canal brings to the 230 some odd communities inside the National Heritage Corridor. When I started this business, this is a retirement thing. I had the largest tourboat company in Florida that I sold in '99. And one of my many cruises, in fact, we were doing the Great Circle Cruise for the 3rd time. We discovered the Erie Canal since it became a National Heritage Corridor, and discovered Herkimer, came out of retirement and started another business now, building boats again. Anyway, that's another story. But when we started this, 2003, the canal was only bringing in $90 million a year in economic benefits to those communities. Last year, that number rose to $480 million. And they're going to do a survey again in 2016, and they're thinking it'll be about $650 million. So it's going in the right direction, doing the right thing, doing what it's supposed to do. This is marketed internationally. We just had a Chinese trade delegation here. In fact, we're going to California to meet with them again in October. And that's what I do. I go to 20, 25 trade shows a year. I don't captain too much anymore. The other captains usually do this, so you're stuck with me. Thank you. Well, we try to make it interesting. We get pretty good reviews on what we do, but every once in a while, somebody would rather have music. That's why we have Friday night and Saturday night party music. When we come out of the lock, we're going to go back to the CD. We're going to talk about the 2nd and 3rd canal. That'll get us to the church, then I'll go live again from the church. Straight back.